For as long as movies have existed, extraterrestrials have been incorporated as the focal point of many movies. Trip to the Moon, one of the earliest motion pictures ever made, essentially revolved around people going to the moon and finding alien life. There have been movies that deal with aliens purely based on cinematic intrigue, which stray from reality, such as Men in Black, and there have been movies and TV shows, such as Star Trek, which incorporate scientific research and references to modern culture into the plot, thus providing a more grounded take on alien life as we know. In 1951, a movie was made called The Day the Earth Stood Still. This movie explored the ideas of an alien named Klaatu and a giant robot named Gort coming to Earth to tell everyone to live peacefully or be destroyed, referring to all the nuclear testing and war going on in the 50s. In 2008, this movie is remade in a more contemporary style where Klaatu's new message is that he is a friend to Earth, which, when his true motives are revealed, means that he's here to destroy the humans that populate the Earth to save the physical Earth. It is now up to Dr. Benson and Dr. Burkhart to convince Klaatu that humanity is worth saving before it's too late. This movie is really interesting to me, not only because of my general interest with aliens, but also because of the way the writers went about making sure the science was believable and realistic. In fact, they hired a man named Seth Shostak, who is a senior astronomer from the SETI Institute, to help work on the script. He basically made sure all the science was true. Literally, the first word spoken in this movie is Theobacillus. Theobacillus is a genus of acid-loving extremophile bacteria that require conditions approximating battery acid in order to multiply. Why is this important? Well, Theobacillus is a genus of extremophile. Extremophiles are a class of bacteria that can survive in environments that would kill most life forms and are considered hostile by human standards. This seems realistic to me as an appropriate first dialogue within the context of an alien movie because scientists such as Amiri Wendell and Jill Tarter think that the first signs of extraterrestrial life could be in forms of small biomarkers in Earth-like settings. Amiri says that there are essentially two ways of detecting life outside of the solar system. The first way is to look for electromagnetic signals, and the second way is to look for biotic signals in earthly planets. He says, quote, "The first methods requires spectral analysis of extrasolar planets looking for water vapor and gases produced by biotic systems such as oxygen or methane." It only seems fitting to me that they are talking about extremophiles because the environments on other planets would definitely be considered hostile. Right now, extremophile research has found them living in extreme cold of the Antarctic, the heat of the hydrothermic vents, extremely salty environments, acidic mines, and alkaline lakes. Now, after they have established that Klaatu was in fact an extraterrestrial life form, the question arose on how he came to look like a bipedal hominid, which would be extremely unlikely as a product of independent evolution from a random other planet in space. The movie explains this by saying that using sample they had previously acquired of human tissue, they were able to cover his original alien body with this sample and genetically engineer it to resemble human anatomy by speeding up the embryological development hundreds of times. Stem cell research and genetic modification have become extremely advanced just within the last 20 years. Stem cells are important to this part of the movie because they have the capabilities to develop many different types of cells in the body. In fact, they serve as sort of an internal repair system, helping replenish other cells, provided the organism is still alive. In fact, scientists at the University of Wisconsin were able to isolate stem cells from the ICM of human blastocysts and grow them for a prolonged amount of time. They say, quote, "Under the right conditions, several types of mature cells appeared in the cultures, including nerve cells, muscle cells, bone cells, pancreatic islet cells." Now, working off of this, there have been numerous examples of stem cells being used to regenerate similarly to how it was described in the movie. Quote, "Stem cells were injected into the spinal cord of a chick embryo. They migrated to their proper location in the ventral horn. Some cells sent axons out of the spinal cord to invade the developing limb and form synapses on target muscle fibers." End quote. Now, perhaps the most science fiction concept that I found was the skin cell spray gun, which in clinical trials was used on people who suffered deep, expansive burn wounds. Basically, scientists gathered skin cells from other parts of the body and essentially sprayed it over the burn areas in hopes of regeneration to provide a more cosmetically pleasing alternative to skin grafting. In their article, they say, Our data showed that enzymatic and careful surgical debridement and consecutive application of CEA suspensions using a spray gun technique results in excellent cosmetic outcomes compared with our experiences with any other method. The follow-up in our series is still short, taking into consideration that burn scars generally improve over time. It can be expected that the longer-term results will be even better. So, in reality, the stem cell research breakthroughs are going to be used towards mostly like the medical field, using these regenerative properties to lend hope to people suffering from deep tissue damage, spinal injury, organ failure, and many other diseases. However, it is still fun to imagine aliens using this technology to blend in. Finally, the whole plot of the movie basically revolves around Klaatu and Gort's plan to eliminate the human race. Now, they aren't going to do this by blowing up the Earth like in the 1951 version. Rather, they will be using small nanites to spread throughout the planet, thus demonstrating their capabilities in the nanotechnology field. What is nanotechnology? Well, David Goodshell says the term nanotechnology commonly refers to a speculative field that proposes to build machinery so small its components are measured on the scale of billionths of a meter, using many principles of microscopic engineering. Scientists like to say that nanotechnology has been perfected since the beginning of time, using our own living cells as examples of tiny machines. Right now, the science in nanotechnology is not to that level yet, but scientists have done some pretty cool things so far. For example, scientists at Harvard built a molecular nanoscale device to attack cancer cells and leave normal cells alone. Another example of nanotechnology is them using it to revolutionize manufacturing. Eric Drexler says that although elementary right now, some nanobots will be able to self-assemble into larger forms, essentially giving them the ability to build almost anything. Looking forward, scientists envision these nanobots being extremely beneficial within the medical field as tiny agents that can smartly navigate their way through the body to target any specific place. Greenmeyer says, quote, "On arrival, these self-guided machines may act in a number of ways, from delivering medicinal payloads to providing real-time updates on the status of their disease-fighting progress. Then, having achieved their mission, they will safely biodegrade, leaving little to no trace behind." Now, these materials are specifically chosen for their useful properties at an atomic scale, as well as their abilities to slip past the body's defenses undisturbed without triggering any cellular damage. This seems like the most likely form of nanobots that Gort uses to kill the humans, because they were able to climb into the scientist's body and target vital organs, killing him relatively quickly, almost as if they knew where specifically to target.